This is part 2 of how the United States allowed a Nazi to run NASA because they wanted to rub it in Russia's face so badly to get to the moon. Werner von Braun, who ran NASA, who was the one that helped the United States get to the moon, was actually a Nazi. Von Braun was one of about 120 German scientists who, in a then-secret U.S. project known as Operation Paperclip, were taken to the U.S. to develop military technology. Rather than be held accountable like other important figures in Nazi Germany, they were given new lives. The Soviet Union also took German scientists for similar reasons, foreshadowing the superpower showdown that was to come. So who exactly is Werner von Braun? A young man, von Braun worked in Nazi Germany's rocket development program. He helped design and co-develop the V-2 rocket at, I don't know how to pronounce that, Army Research Center during World War II. The V-2 became the first artificial object to travel into space by crossing the Kármán line on 20 June 1944. Following the war, he was secretly moved to the United States along with about 1,600 other German scientists, engineers, and technicians as part of Operation Paperclip. He worked for the United States Army on an intermediate-range ballistic missile program, and he developed the rockets that launched the United States' first space satellite, Explorer 1, in 1958. He worked with Walt Disney on a series of films which popularized the idea of human space travel to the U.S. and beyond from 1955 to 1957. In 1960, his group was assimilated into NASA, where he served as director of the newly formed Marshall Space Flight Center and as the chief architect of the Saturn V super heavy-lift launch vehicle that propelled the Apollo spacecraft to the moon. In 1967, von Braun was inducted into the National Academy of Engineering, and in 1975, he received the National Medal of Science. Von Braun is seen by some as escaping justice for his awareness of Nazi war crimes due to the Americans' desire to beat the Soviets in the Cold War. He is also sometimes described by others as the father of space travel, the father of rocket science, or the father of the American lunar program. Towards the end of his career, he also advocated a human mission to Mars. Well, he would have gotten along great with Elon fucking Musk. The V-2 was a particularly terrifying weapon. The missiles traveled so fast that victims, most of whom were civilians, often heard nothing until after they struck. For his part, von Braun, who was apparently still interested in space travel, is said to have remarked that the rockets worked perfectly except for landing on the wrong planet, a line that, at best, paints him as detached from the consequences of his work. But as fearsome as the V-2 was, it had little strategic impact and failed to turn the war in Germany's direction. As the Allies advanced into the heart of Germany, von Braun and his engineering team headed south to surrender to the Americans, rather than await the Red Army. If he was detached, he still made a weapon that harmed people. Like, he was part of the Nazis. Like, Like, this is fucking insane. Like, what are we talking about? He is a Nazi. This was a very interesting quote I saw. He was not ideologically very interested in Nazi ideas, said Newfield, although he was happy to profit from his status as an Aryan aristocrat. But von Braun wasn't the only one who prioritized success. Confronted with the growing power of Stalin's USSR, the U.S. government sanitized von Braun and other German scientists' images in order to use their skills. To a large extent, the American public went along with it. There were public protests in early 1947 over the importation of the Germans, explained Neufeld. And then the Cold War heat got worse, and it pretty much went away. And this is my fear, that in 20 years or so, not even like 3, that the United States is going to allow the war criminals that committed a genocide that have both American citizenships and Israeli citizens to come back without any means of arresting them for human rights violations and war crimes. And that means that these people who snipe children in the fucking head, who starved people, who bombed innocent civilians for over 2 years, can walk free. We can't let that happen. And the fact that the United States was able to do it once, they can easily do it again. Yes, I understand Israel is seen as the bad guy right now, but the Israel project has been around for a very long fucking time. The United States is very fucking powerful. The government is very fucking persistent. If we do not keep the drive to not allow Nazis, to not allow the current day Nazis into the United States, they will get away with this. They will get away with all of the war crimes, all of the human rights violations that they have done. The torture of innocent Palestinians that are similar to the war crimes that were done in Nazi Germany. We cannot allow that to happen. And that is why I want to share the story. That is why I'm talking so much about this documentary, because we're living through a genocide right now. We're seeing it with our own eyes. We are seeing the fact that Israel literally has our government by the fucking balls, and nothing we do about it is gonna stop unless we pressure, unless we say we will not vote you in, unless you do not take AIPAC funds, unless you demand for Israel to have embargo. We need to demand that, because I don't want fucking current day Nazis being embraced in this country. Ever. The United States focused on their goals and their pride rather than the rights and the demands of defending Jewish people. And then yet, the United States government has then reversed it and said, hey, by protesting against Israel, you're being anti-Semitic. By protesting against Israel and saying, hey, Israel can't commit a genocide, that's anti-Semitic. Meanwhile, they literally said, fuck you to Jewish people after World War II, because we want to stop the Soviet Union, because we want to stop allowing the Soviet Union to get better of us. We wanted to get on the fucking moon. Hypocritical much, United States government? I think it's important to know history. I think it's important to know these facts, and this is why I fell in love with history. This is why I wanted to share this story with you. I didn't know that the man that got us to the moon was a Nazi. And if you knew that, let me know. If you didn't, I hope this was helpful. If you have seen this docuseries, let me know. If you haven't, honestly, go watch it, The Devil Next Door. It is very, very good. There was one thing that was said that really stuck out to me that I want to end on. Why should we hold someone accountable with what they've done 50 years later? Because 6 million people are dead. That's why. And these people were involved in that. Just like the Israelis, anyone that helped kill Palestinians in Gaza are currently involved in a genocide should be held accountable, no matter how old they are. Gaza only had 2 million people. They probably have less than 1 million now. That is why this matters. We cannot let history to repeat itself. We can't.